Since our species first arose on this planet, we have been observing the night sky and compiling information for thousands of years. The hundreds of generations of knowledge from some of the great scientists of history have led us to the point where we are now, where low Earth orbit flights are regular, and we have astronauts all year round working on the International Space Station, as well as having travelled to the Moon and having a small presence on Mars with the rovers. These innovations have helped our species understand more about the universe in which we live, and more specifically, about our solar system. When we look at our species' trajectory, it seems very likely that the space industry will come to the forefront of humanity's focus in the future. As our species uses more resources and the population grows, all we have to do is take one glance at our history and we can see that our species has problem solving and exploration ingrained into our DNA. So it seems very plausible that the next step in our species' journey is to span out into space and discover new worlds, or even potentially live in space. If we want our species to survive for a long time, cosmically, then it makes the most sense to use the near limitless amount of raw materials above us. This could be through mining asteroids, and of course using the sun as a nuclear fusion reactor. Having access to more resources is never a bad thing, unless of course they are used with the wrong intention. It seems as if over the next few generations we will be making our presence in the solar system larger by potentially having bases of operation on the Moon, and perhaps beginning the foundations of a colony on Mars. I do believe that as we slowly build up a Mars colony, it makes sense to terraform the world to make the planet more suitable for humans to live on, but this could take up to thousands of years. Some may ask, why speculate about the future of our species' endeavours into space exploration? But I say that we need to lay down the groundworks for future generations and attempt to answer some of tomorrow's questions today. This will help our descendants navigate the issues that they will inevitably face in the future. One of the smartest things about our species is we learn and take insight from previous generations' achievements and of course their failures. So many of the hypothetical scenarios and technologies we propose may be incorrect, but asking said questions now may lead future humans to discover things they wouldn't have previously if the original questions had not been proposed. If our species does survive millions of years into the future, then the chapter of human history where we only inhabit Earth will be so very, very small, if technology of course permits us to travel interstellar space. As I said before, it could be possible that our species decides not to reside on a planet in the future. We could decide to live on an O'Neill cylinder, which travels through space and rotates to create artificial gravity. Living in space is definitely very far in the future, and there are many things that we need to discover before we attempt to live in space. For example, we do not know how a fetus may adapt to being born in space. If we relate this to a potential future Mars colony, we know that the gravity on Mars is 0.3 of that of Earth's gravity, so a baby that is born on Mars may experience complications. Due to the gravity on Mars being so much less than Earth's, it is likely that a Martian-born human would never be able to visit Earth because the gravity would be so crushing to them. Over the next decade or so, we have plans set in place to return to the Moon and perhaps have the first humans travel to Mars. Also, of course, with the recent launch of the James Webb Telescope, we may even discover other life. But one great thing we know we will be able to see is planet formation, which will answer a lot of scientists' questions on the process. Our species has a lot to overcome before we expand our presence in the galaxy. For example, climate change and other cosmic events which may see the end of our species. But if we overcome these problems, then the possibilities for expanding our species could be limitless. I find it very interesting that our species is so mesmerized by these deep questions about reality and discovering new technology to provide our species with longer and more comfortable lives. And all of this loops back to our ancient ancestors' experience and how they perceive the world and what they decided to look into. So let's hope that we can come together as a species and move away from the brutality of our past through colonialism and tribalism, as well as many other isms that have terrorized the world for so many years, and has also made our species so very cautious of one another. We are all one in the same, and most of us want the same things. I love to wonder to myself how different our species would be if all of the senseless violence just for a piece of dirt on one of billions of similar Earth-like planets across a potentially infinite universe ceased right now, and we all work towards the goals of innovating and making the lives of our fellow humans better. Perhaps this is just wishful thinking. Maybe we can start now with all of the countries of the world actually banding together to combat climate change. But that doesn't look likely with the climate of the world currently. So sadly, we are failing at our job of being the caretakers of the planet for the generations that come after us. So thank you all for watching this video on space being in humanity's future. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview on my thoughts, so a non-scripted thing at the end of this video. So basically, I genuinely believe that it is 100% going to be in this species' future. If we survive all of these events like climate change and different things that would be perceived as potential great filters that other civilizations out there in the universe may face, if there is other civilizations, which in my opinion I believe that there is. So our species kind of has to focus its attention on space travel. We have to focus all of our attention on that stuff, but of course we have to focus on things like climate change and pressing things that could end our species first. But then we've got to move on to becoming a multi-planet civilization and all of these things where they can positively impact our species. Because it makes the most sense to be a multi-planet civilization, because if something, you know, like an asteroid hits the planet or something goes wrong, we're on a different planet and we're able to basically not our whole species be in one place. So we need to figure out all of these different facets and things of how we're going to work that out, and it's going to be really hard, but I expect that with the upwards trajectory of our technological advancement, I really assume that we're probably going to be heading into this space era a lot sooner than I'm thinking. So it's I think it's going to be really fun to look and see how the future unfolds. I do believe that we're probably going to be going back to the moon. I do believe they said it was something like 2024. Doesn't seem likely with all that COVID stuff, with all the stuff going on now. Doesn't seem as likely as it did before, but hopefully the James Webb Telescope will present some new things to us where we can get an understanding of life. Hopefully in the future we'll be going on O'Neill cylinders, spinning around space, you know, everybody will be like, wow, they used to live on this planet called Earth and that's where they originated. Like, to me that'd be very, very funny. But no, we want our species to survive for as long as possible. We want to have a peaceful future where generations are able to live and study and understand all of the deep questions about reality, because those are some of the most interesting things about this reality in which we live in. And, you know, we spend a lot of our time discussing a lot of superficial things which really do not matter, you know, like wars and things like that. They don't actually matter realistically most of the time. It's just over money, which again is a human concept. A lot of things are a human concept. Technically most things are human concepts, but money of course is key to the world that we live in now. But you know, it is key to all of this stuff and all the technology and all of this stuff that we're innovating. But we can use that stuff for good, and we can basically adapt the system to make it better, because the way our system is currently all over the world is not very good. It seems really horrible to me, the fact that, you know, we have countries where they have all the resources, and then we have countries where people are barely even able to eat. They're barely even able to get clean water. They're not even able to have like good facilities and good education, and they're used as slaves and things like that. This is still real stuff that's in the world, so we have to get that stuff out. We need to get rid of it. It doesn't, half the stuff that people think matters really doesn't, because people's quality of life is what matters the most. you know, your quality of life, yeah, you may have a great quality of life just like me, but you know, how many people don't have good quality of life because we're having a good quality of life because of all of the colonialism in the past where they went and took all their resources and stuff, which realistically would have made them more of a superpower in the world, I guess. I'm just like that. I just think that way. I know a lot of people are different in thinking that way, but yeah, there's things that matter and there's things that don't. So yeah, I really loved this topic of discussion because I'm such a massive fan of space. I'm such a big fan of discussing these topics about space, about the reality in which we live. So yeah, just join me on this discussion of space and time and reality and history and all of these different things and how that will help us progress into the future and how we can learn from people in the past. Because I do hear that thing. I'm going to say one more thing before I go. I do hear that age-old thing of you can't put today's morals on the past, but you can, because I say the only time you can't is when their brain was different. If their brain was the exact same 2,000 years ago, which it basically was, you know, it doesn't matter what they were doing. What they were doing was amoral. You know, people might be like, oh yeah, but that's just because of the society you live in. Nah, I think that killing people is wrong anyway. I think that doing all this crap that people do now is wrong. So there's just food for thought for you. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on us living in space in the future. What other videos you would like me to see. I just wanted to thank you all for getting me to 100 subs. Might not sound like a lot, but it does mean a lot to me because I've been making videos consistently basically every week since June of last year. So yeah, I appreciate you all. Much love. Peace out.